Good evening. My name is Kelly Hiller, and I'm an associate professor in clinical laboratory science at a community college in Massachusetts. Tonight, we're going to look at technology in higher education and what we can learn from our students and how we can use their thoughts and their feedback to evaluate our program to implement new technology and evaluate that new technology as we add it into the classroom. In a recent survey that I conducted on clinical laboratory science students, I looked at what type of technology do they use in the classroom. So this question within SurveyMonkey asked these students, on a typical day, what type of apps do you use on your smartphone? And if you look at the apps, we're going to see things like search tools. So, search tools, phone numbers, recipes, internet. And a lot of the students now are doing their research on their smartphones. You want to know something now? You Google it. My 11-year-old daughter tells me to Google it, Mom. Other things that we look at, utility apps, calculators, conversions, translations, social networking, huge chunk of the students' usage in technology. And this is something that you really want to make note of because not enough colleges utilize social networking to help accentuate learning. And then the last category, other, small amount, but other would be things like online programming, Blackboard, and other applications that the students might utilize within their classroom learning. When looking at what applications are least useful, you can honestly, in this chart, you can look at what's least useful, and we're looking at sports and entertainment. So this is really showcasing that the students are very focused, and these students aren't looking for extraneous applications. They're looking for applications that can help them function on a daily basis in their lives and in their collegiate lives. When looking at which apps that they find most useful, you can see here productivity and search tools. So this is something that the students are utilizing. And you'll see here, and I'm going to make note of this because we do talk a little bit later about gaming, but you'll see here, game apps. This rates within 50% where the students really want to see games, although they also want to see the weather. But they want to see games, and maybe they're just using them to keep themselves entertained while they're waiting in line at the grocery store or taking the child to sports practice or dance classes. But we can utilize the game playing tendencies within the classroom. When we look at gaming in technology in the classroom, this is something that we often fall short. And as you can see here, we're looking at most within either low quality, like here, or this category here, which is the majority, where they're really not going to commit to either low or high quality. And this is something that we see often where we want to put in technology and we want to put in gaming, but we can't get the technology to allow us to do this and to improve it. And we can't educate our faculty to get it right or to know how to make it work with the students with all apps. Other areas that we looked at within the survey is you can clearly see that most of these students, all of these students here, they are either slightly confident to extremely confident that gaming and using this type of technology is going to help them retain information. And this is something that we really need to capitalize, and we don't right now. So when evaluating when we were looking at a lot of the technology, what I find best in the classroom and what I've learned recently are a couple different things: gaming, simulation, interaction, and active learning. When you put all of these together into a clinical laboratory science classroom, we're looking at utilizing online applications, so an online course space, whether it be Angel or Blackboard or custom-made course space. We're able to put up PowerPoints. We're able to make quizzes. We can make announcements. We can make interactive discussion boards. This is something that most colleges now have as a platform for their e-learning, or in my college's case, they have a Blackboard space for every course that is enrolled at the college. Now, this doesn't mean that all faculty are actually going to use this. And maybe in the future, and we'll talk later about the future of technology, we can maybe educate the faculty members that don't necessarily feel comfortable in this type of technology to improve their technology and to improve their ability in this. When we look at simulation, this is something that I have recently really investigated in using this to evaluate, or not evaluate, but provide the students a way to evaluate themselves, and for me to indirectly evaluate the students by providing them a way to be able to perform laboratories not in a classroom, but in a simulation atmosphere. So there are new technologies out, for example, Labster, where you can actually explore a chemistry laboratory, and you can work with acid and bases. Now, for someone who's just starting out in a general chemistry class or a beginner, acid bases, if you don't do it correctly, you can potentially cause an explosion in the laboratory. By having a simulation labs, the student can become more comfortable with their abilities before they enter the laboratory. And this also allows us not only to give them prep work before they come into the real laboratory, but it allows us to expand our scope of teaching outside of the 50-mile perimeter around the college, and we can look at tagging students that are further out and being able to provide them a laboratory education, but on a simulation end. The other simulations we can see is we do have a lot of nursing simulations where we have dummies that are attached to computers, and they can simulate, for example, a trauma situation where we can have nursing faculty or running the show and nursing students coming in to assess the patient and deal with the trauma situation, while phlebotomy students can come in and draw blood. EKG students can come in and do EKGs, and multiple departments can cross-educate their students together using this type of simulation. And this is something that is wonderful. And what I've taken most from the last pieces of this course is looking at creating things like blogs and having this daily or weekly interaction on blogs, looking for searches, looking for games, and really utilizing this type of technology to be able to connect the students even on a remote basis. And anything that we can make active learning to accentuate the didactic portion really helps the students learn and apply their knowledge later on in their clinicals. So what are my lessons learned as I've implemented technology, or I've tried different things, or I've evaluated things within my higher education technology course? Well, first off, students' voices must be heard. And a lot of the different assignments that we were tasked with, I created surveys to look at what my students actually thought about it. And this is not something I've done before. This is something that was new for me. And to be able to do this and really see what the students thought was such an eye-opening experience. And to be honest, I actually utilized some of the suggestions within this course to be able to try and enhance my students' learning based on some of the things I've learned and some of the things that the students voiced within the surveys. Evaluations often do show true classroom, and this is something that needs to be paid attention to, maybe not at a faculty level, but at an administrative level, where we can be doing all the right things, but they're not the right things for our students, and they're not the most advanced, and they're not utilizing what technology is available. And for our students now that are coming out of high school, they're used to having the technology to learn. And if faculty are not embracing this technology and not being able to utilize it, it can really affect the students' learning. And one of the things that our evaluation in the students and one of the SurveyMonkey evaluations not only evaluated students, but it also evaluated former students and current faculty. And they did not feel that the technology that was available and the gaming that was available within the classroom was of any high quality. And this is something that we really need to work on and really need to see an investment from higher education universities and colleges to be able to enhance learning at this level. We must educate our faculty. Continuing education is something that we must do. Too many faculty, and obviously I'm not going to bring up or start talking about a tenure discussion or debate, if you will, but too many faculty have grown comfortable and like their classroom the way it is and like the consistency. However, this type of learning doesn't work for everybody. And a lot of studies have been done about how utilizing technology can advance student learning. Why wouldn't we want to learn this? And I think a lot of the reasoning is faculty don't know. They don't know what's out there. Maybe they're not comfortable with what's out there. For example, in a meeting the other day, I heard a faculty member boast that they were proud that they sat in with the site lab and the site lab put their course syllabus on the Blackboard course space. And that's the first time they've ever done that, which is great because, yes, they're finally getting online. But at this point, when we're 20 years at our college into e-learning, and this faculty member is just learning how to put a syllabus online, it really does not give our students what they expect and what they really need to learn. A syllabus online doesn't help them. It's just a way for them not to lose that piece of paper. And this is something we need to be able to provide for our faculty members. We need to educate them, and we need to be able to give them the tools and be able to provide education when they can go to it. And the last that I looked at is careful processes really need to be followed while implementing any new technology. And within our last group project, we were looking at developing a game to help in a clinical laboratory science immunology course to be able to help with learning. And this is one area where you have to be really meticulous about involving all people within the department, especially if it's taught by more than one person, and being able to properly put in a timeline and properly follow the procedures that you do set in place. And the last on this type of process is when you do implement it, you want to make sure you involve all stakeholders, but you also want to assess and evaluate within all stakeholders to really see, was this effective? Do you do a survey at the end? Do you compare exam scores from previous years to current year with the game to be able to assess? But this is something that I really looked at and I really felt was key. Now, what's the future in higher education and technology? The sky's the limit at this point. As we go forward, there's more technology that's presented to us every day. And I really am excited to hear that technology is being looked at in more than one arena. Coming from a prior voice thread that I made in 2013, where the newest technology to use was iClickers in the classroom. But iClickers came before Kahoot, and Kahoot allows for competition, music, graphics, pictures, and it's really taken and upped the ante and advanced the iClicker game. So every year we have to look at what technology is out there, which one is better, and what will work and what won't work, and get the student's opinion. When you look at lean management, the lean management technique requires you to go to who is doing it. So if you're an employer, you go to your employees and you ask, what needs to be done? In this case, we go to our students and we ask them, what needs to be done? What did you like about this? What didn't you like about this? They are the ones out there doing it. They are the ones that know. They are the ones that are best ready. They're best to evaluate the technology, and they're best to evaluate all the new changes. And they really need to be involved. And I am truly excited about what is to come for technology in education in the future.